Hello, today we're studying customary measurements. So the first thing we're going to look at is capacity and volume. 1 gallon is 4 quarts. 1 gallon is also 128 fluid ounces. 1 quart is equal to 2 pints. 1 pint is equal to 2 cups, and 1 cup is equal to 8 fluid ounces. If you remember from last year, you probably drew the big G with the 4 quarts, and then you had the pints, the 2 pints in every quart. And then every P also had 2 C's inside of it. And I didn't write big enough to do that, so I'm just going to write it with a different color so you can get it written in there, and hopefully your digger is bigger. So that's the big G. I would recommend, unless this is totally ingrained in your brain, that anytime you have an assessment, get that drawn on your paper so that a lot of this doesn't have to be memorized. The only one that probably does have to be memorized is the ounces. 1 cup being 8 ounces and a gallon being 128, but I'll show you in a second how to figure that one out if you can't remember it. So going with this unit on measurement and ratios, the way we're going to use this is, let's go with our unit ratio. Right here, 1 cup equals 8 fluid ounces, and ounces is abbreviated OZ. So if I have 1 cup equaling 8 fluid ounces, the way I can use ratios is if I wanted to know how many ounces 6 cups were. So I can put up here, 6 cups is here. And again, I can either go cross multiplication and go 8 times 6, and then my variable is there, or I can go sideways. I'm just going to go, I'll go cross multiplication for this one, and I'll do equivalent fractions for the next one. So if 1 cup equals 8 fluid ounces, if I use cross multiplication, 1 cup, so 1 times x is 1x, so just a plain x, and then 8 times 6 is 48. So this, and then obviously if we divide by 1, x equals 48 fluid ounces in 6 cups. So that's a great way to use ratios, especially with the customary system. Let me slide this over and do a couple of more examples over here. So if I if I know that 1 quart is 2 pints, I can say 1 quart is 2 pints. That's my initial ratio that I'm going to put on my paper. And if the word problem comes up and says that you need 8 pints, well, 8 pints is what I need, and you don't know how many quarts that is, again, you can, this time, instead of doing cross multiplication, I'll go equivalent fractions. So I ask myself, how did I get from 2 to 8 using multiplication and division? And I get from 2 to 8 by multiplying times 4. Because 2 times 4 equals 8. And what you do to the bottom in fractions, you do to the top in fractions. So times 4. And my answer is, my x equals 4 quarts. So 4 quarts equals 8 pints. All right, let's go to the next one. The next one is dealing with length. And this one gets a little bit more tricky because there's no fun, easy way to memorize it, but you do have to learn these 4 things. 1 mile is 1,760 yards. 1 mile is also 5,280 feet. 1 yard is 3 feet, so a yardstick is 3 feet. And 1 foot, so 1 ruler, is 12 inches. These are must-knows when dealing with length. And again, with these, we can use ratios. So if we have 1 yard, and we know, so if the word problem comes up and says that we have to figure out how many feet are in the yard, then I can put 1 yard equals 3 feet. So whatever the word problem is, you put down what you do know about those units. So 1 yard is 3 feet. And if I know that there are 36 feet that I'm trying to figure out, and I want to know how many yards that is, my x is my variable for the yards. And again, I'll cross multiply this time. So 36 equals 3x, divide by 3. And then x equals, so 3 into 36 goes in 12 times. So x is going to be, over here, x is going to be 12 yards. So 12 yards equals 36 feet. Let's do one more. Let's work with, let's go with miles. So if I want to know how many feet 6 miles is, I again do what the ratio that I know that has to do with yards and or miles and feet. So 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. And if I travel 7 miles, and if I want to know how many feet that is, I'm going to this time go equivalent fractions. So I said that 1 times 7 got to 7, and I do 5,280 times 7, and that's going to equal x. And so with my calculator, 5,280 times 7 equals 36,960 feet. And again, very, very important with ratios that you include the units with your work. All right, the last one is mass and weight. 1 ton is 2,000 pounds, and 1 pound is 16 ounces. So again, these are not liquid ounces, these are solid ounces. Okay, so this is how much something, how heavy it is, how much space it takes up. So again, we can use the same, ratios with dealing with these, but we're not going to go into that because I think I've already given you enough examples, and we can talk about it in class tomorrow. But 1 ton is 2,000 pounds, and 1 pound is 16 ounces. So your job is to memorize, to put in your brain those basic facts that I've given you throughout these last couple of slides.